Live. David Greene is our guest today. He is the co-host of Bigger Pockets, which is probably where you know him from, but he's also a multi-time in the highest honor possible, repeat guest of Real Estate Uncensored. That is, he's one of the hollowed halls of that particular distinction. So we'll get to him in a minute. We're talking about what top producers are doing right now. There's a group of top performers that are essentially crushing it right now during this whole COVID corona apocalypse, as I call it. And we're going to talk about why they're crushing it and everyone else isn't, and what we can steal from the top producers that can help us crush it. So we'll get to him in just a second. But first, Gene Volpe. No, I'm kidding.
Shut up.
Go with it. Go with it, Johnson.
All right. All right. I will introduce you first for the first time in the history of the podcast, the evil bald ninja, Gene Volpe. What's up today?
Yo. All right. So I guess you didn't have this talk about Greg being out and me being in?
Oh, no. I haven't had a chance to let him know yet.
Surprise.
Exactly.
Shut up, you two.
All right.
You knew that your guest had a shaved head, and so you called for the lefty. You're like,
we called an audible. All right, my esteemed colleague and co-host and partner in crime, all things real estate related, Greg McDaniel in the co-pilot seat, where you so belong. What's up?
Yes. What up, guys? We have laughed so hard on our pre-show. My cheeks physically hurt right now. But a funny story. All of you guys are just listening to me and not watching this video. I'm wearing a shirt that says mildly offensive. There's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt today. It's because I was on my run this morning and our show producer hits me up on a text, goes, "Hey, your guest bailed on you and Matt's on vacation. So it's cool if you and Volpe do a show together." And I'm like, "What the sugar noodles?" And so I leave Matt a very curt message of my feelings about him not informing his business partner and co-host in regards to his travel plans. And then I hit Volpe up and he and I talked about doing the show, and Matt hits me back later after everything was situated, because it wasn't this week, it was next week, where our guest actually, she broke her pelvis, so she literally can't come on the show. And Matt just leaves me a message, goes, "Could you leave your snippiness off of the show?" And I'm like, "How can I get a shirt that's going to be perfect for this?" I'm like, mildly offensive.
So Matt, he calls me. He says, he goes, here's what's going on. Johnson's on vacation. We don't have a guest, and we're bringing on X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay. I go, "Can I tell you something?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "You don't have to call me." I said, "The invite that I get, that I've been getting on my calendar for the last 3 years, I literally can't open it." I said, "Not one time in the history of me being on the show have I known who the co-host or the host was going to be, let alone the guest." I said, "I don't really care. It makes no difference."
My gosh.
But David Greene is up in my hood, guys. He's in the Bay Area. He's going to be moving to my town, actually, Walnut Creek, here as soon as possible. Oh, by the way, David, I got a great agent for you. I can hook you up if you want an introduction. His name is Greg McDaniel. Really good dude, very smart, very handsome. I mean, he gets all the good deals in town. So if you need help on that, just let me know, dude. We'll rock it out. But
as long as he's not shy, I don't want anyone that lacks in self-confidence.
Okay, he's a little shy, but we'll see what happens. But no, guys, David is an absolute incredible guy. He talk about flipping homes, investing in properties. He just absolutely is amazing. Then he had a lobotomy, and he became a real estate agent and forgot all about what he was supposed to be doing. But he's just absolutely amazing. So, David, welcome to the show, man. All jokes aside, I'm super pumped to have you back.
Thank you, Greg. I'm glad I got on here. I'm actually a big fan of your guys' show. I listen to it all the time, and I feel like this podcast actually had a pretty instrumental piece in the foundation of me growing as a real estate agent when I was new and I didn't know anything. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and learning from other people, and you guys have one of the best shows on the air.
Oh, okay. And the show's done. Thank you, guys.
Exactly. Yes. David, will your $10,000 wire will be in your bank account. We appreciate it. All right. So you mentioned something before we went live, that you are kind of self-proclaimed the only successful investor who decided to then become an agent. So my question is, what the hell, man? What the hell?
I'm the only one I know of, and I probably wouldn't have called myself successful. That's more of a Greg move. But I do like how you subtly snuck that in there. To be completely honest, it was just my frustration with referring people to agents, and agents suck. I think we can all agree it is so hard to find a good agent in general. They don't take their profession seriously. They don't take their career seriously. They're letting the client run the show a lot of the time. Just, I'm here to fill out the paperwork and make you happy. They're not really leaders or guiding. So I was so tired of referring business out and having people come complain to me. I thought I just should do it myself. And then by the time I realized what I'd gotten myself into, it was too late. I'd been sucked in, and I spent the last 4 years trying to fight my way out of that decision.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how how is the agent business structured? Are you a classic top producer with an assistant? Are you running completely solo? Do you have a team?
All right, that's really, really good. I started doing it myself, and I was also a police officer at the time. So
Holy
I was
cow.
splitting time between working as a cop and selling houses. And I've always had a pretty strong work ethic. If I'm working 2 jobs, that to me is like I'm kind of taking it easy. 3 is where I could say I'm working hard. So I did it that way until I actually ran into the point where I had listings that I couldn't get them on the MLS in time because I was too busy with both things. So at that point, I hired an assistant. A couple months after that, I left the police thing, and me and my assistant started to grow the business. That was probably 2016 or so. I'd say the only thing that I'm really good at in life, clearly it's not growing hair, but there's one thing I'm good at, and it's knowing what I'm not good at, to be honest. Like if people are listening and they struggle with their confidence, or it's hard to say you're not good at something, you're losing a lot of money holding on to that habit. I knew I'm not the best communicator. When I have to call someone and be very patient and explain for 45 minutes why the sliding glass door sticking a little bit when you try to close it isn't the end of the world, I could feel myself running out of energy. And so I knew if I'm going to stay in this world, I got to focus on what I'm good at, which to me are the things I value. And that's saving my clients money, getting you the better deal on the property, getting you a property that's going to make you more money, selling your house for as much as possible, and leverage off the stuff that most agents love, which is making people feel good. When I call to say, congratulations, you closed, that I probably shouldn't be admitting this if any of my clients are listening. That's like a chore for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have to get all emotional and I have to be happy. It doesn't make anyone any money. So my assistants loved it though. That's like the icing on the cake. You tell me I don't have to make the cake. I can just eat the icing. So I started looking for ways to marry what I do with what other people do better, but they don't get the opportunity to do it. Right. Like, let's say you're a closer in the professional baseball. What do we call the MLB? If you don't get to the 8th or 9th inning, you never get to do your job. So you need people that can get you up to that point so you can excel. And most agents, the part of the job they love, they rarely ever get there because it's lead generation that they hate. It's learning, it's numbers, it's the boring business, it's the systems. That's what you got to have to get to the fun part. So I started experimenting with hiring people to do the fun part so that luckily for me, I didn't like doing those, and focusing on the grind that they didn't love. So now I'm structured where most of the leads that come in through my team is me. There's about 4 agents and 3 admin. And I use the agents that are newer to do the parts of the job that take the most time and that drain me the most. So I've got showing assistants that show houses to my buyers. I have admin that schedule all that. I have admin that call the listing agents to follow up and say, how many offers do you have? Is this 12 offers? Are we going to have to be 150 grand over? If you don't live in the Bay Area, that might sound weird to you, but Greg could say that's just par for the course.
Pretty normal.
Every house you go for that's been on the market less than 15 days is going to be that way. So we don't want to chase those. Then I have the admin bring that information to me, say, hey, David, here's the deal. And then I get to do what I do. I get to analyze the numbers. I get to make the best decision. I get to say, this is what we should do. Here's how we should do it. And then someone else calls the client to kind of communicate that to them. And I make sure that we're putting people in contract, we're getting new leads, and we're closing deals. And kind of everything in between there, I have either admin or assistants that are helping do that. And then they're getting paid from that work.
So you've literally you turned it into a profession, not a part-time hobby. What a lot of agents, and I'm not criticizing any agents that are out doing it the hard way right now. Like David did it, he cut his teeth on it and then grew the way he knew he wanted to grow. So and all of you can do the exact same thing. One of my big things, I love the fact how you've systematized it, and the part that I absolutely love the most is that you identified what you don't like, and then you outsourced those tasks. I recently just hired 2 VAs along with my buddy Jake over at Clever Leads with a K. Gene and I are involved with that organization, and he's training and maintaining VAs that are doing not all, majority of the prospecting, and is dropping nuggets of goodness into my account going, hey, call this person, call that person, this person wants to sell, they want to buy something. And then I just do that side of it. And here's the funny thing, David, I actually found myself being incredibly more happy doing that instead of having to wake up and do all the follow-up, do all the calls. I mean, I'm known for doing cold calls. That's what people know me for, but it really wears on you when all you want to do is go out and do deals.
That's 100% right. And what I realize is that it took me a long time to admit it's okay to take your feelings into consideration when you're looking at the business. So I used to get a call where, hey, David, this guy wants to sell his house. And I'd call that guy and he'd have, well, what color should I paint it? Do you think that I really need to fix this crack in the grout? And it's stuff that we're all listening to this like, bro, you're going to get 10 offers in the first 3 days. They're never going to see that. It was easy stuff to handle, but I would sense that I would avoid having that phone call. And I'm like, who doesn't like a come list me call? What is wrong with me? Why am I complaining about having to call this person who's like, shut up and take my money? And I realized it was just, if there was a component where I had to be patient with somebody else's, I don't know the right word to use, but it's like what I would have considered trivial concerns. They don't really affect the sale.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear it in my voice when I talk to you. And I was always very subconsciously aware, I don't want to offend this person. His concerns are valid. In his head, they really matter. It's me that has the problem. I've done this so many times that I don't care. So what I would do is I would start to notice, this is hurting me. I'm not chasing down leads. I'm not prioritizing them. You need to be going after that like a cheetah after a gazelle. When you get a whiff of this guy wants to sell his house, you pounce on it. And I recognize I'm not pouncing, and here's why. So I started hiring assistants and saying, this is the role I need you to play. I need you to love on this person. I need you to make them feel like the most special person in the world. I need you to get a list of every question they have, make bullet points for me, deliver them to me in an email. I will email him how we're going to address all that. I'll CC you. You're in charge of getting all that stuff done. I'm going to jump and give him a listing presentation, which is where I'm really good. Get the paperwork signed, and then you're going to handle all those details to get the house ready for market. That one little change left me so energized that I was just always on the hunt. Right? Lead generation exploded because now I'm like, all I got to do is take down the gazelle and someone else is going to come clean it. Oh, this is like the best job ever.
Perfect. It's funny. David, I do the same thing. I have my Eileen, my Eileen. She's not mine, and she is Eileen, my team manager. And the funny thing is that I haven't written a contract in probably 14 years. She writes all my contracts. She handles the 95% or 99% of the communication. She deals with all the minutia BS that I absolutely hate doing. And like you said, it's like taking down a gazelle. You just go out there and go take down the big properties, do your part, and then let your team manager or whoever's going to do it, your assistant or whatever, handle the part you're not good at. I think why don't more people do that? David, I want to hear, why do they want to take on all the pain even if they don't like it?
There's the whole, if I don't do it right, no one's, if I don't do it, no one will do it right. There's that thing. Yeah. There's also the fact that getting other people to work with you is hard. There's no way around it. Like if Notorious B.I.G. was still around, he would have made the song More People, More Problems, because that's what happens in business. The more people you get, the worse it gets. And so you don't want to have to deal with other people and getting them to do it your way. But more importantly, I think there's a strong sense of guilt that you don't deserve to just do the part you like, that you have to do the parts that you don't. And what people don't realize, I basically, in my team, because like Matt, I'm actually a closet systemist. I love systemizing everything.
A man after my own heart.
Yes. I just don't say that out loud because people like Greg will mercilessly rip me apart. And I try to avoid that. So I hide it.
The cat's out of the bag now, homie.
Yeah.
It's game on.
What I found is that in any business, and real estate to me is just one of the easiest businesses to get started in. Not that it's easy to be successful, but it's very easy to systemize what has to get done compared to like a manufacturing plant or something like that. Yeah. You can separate almost every task into, am I catching a fish or am I cleaning a fish? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the most valuable piece in fishing is catching the fish. It's getting that dang fish into your boat. At that point, anyone else can be trained how to clean it, how to keep it alive in the live well. You can even train people to help you catch more fish. I want you to read the fishing report and tell me where they are. Where's the moon right now? What are they biting on? What are other agents doing that works? Can you bait my hook for me? And then you focus on the skill side, which is setting that hook, right? That's where Greg's really good. He gets you on the phone. He gets you interested. He says, let's have a talk. He signs that listing agreement. That's putting the hook in the fish. Now you just got to get in the boat. That would be like selling the house. Man, you can hand your pole off to someone else and they can get that fish in the boat if you set the hook right. Yeah. So what I've learned is I'm building this system of everything that's fish cleaning someone else needs to do. But what I found is that no one is resentful that they have to clean the fish. Most American humans are so used to working a W-2 job. That's what they want. That's why agents aren't selling houses, because they get into this business and every job they ever had, somebody else did 99% of the work. They just stood at a cash register and let someone walk up to them and say, I want to buy your product. And they think that's work. Yep. But in our world, you got to go find the customer, convince them to come in there, then do your job of getting their money, then actually serve them the food and go cook it yourself. And so rather than fighting against human nature, which is try to all of I've generate enough leads that I have enough work. I can split off pieces of it and give that to someone to do, which is what they're more comfortable doing in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, oh, sorry, Matt, I cut you off. Go ahead, bud.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the takeaway of this so far is that you have to take your own feelings into consideration in your business, and that nothing is non-negotiable. There's really nothing in business that isn't negotiable. I mean, you can do the exact opposite. If you want to be the person that cleans the fish and that's what you prefer to do, you can still have a great lifestyle real estate business. You just got to pay for the leads. That's the bottom line.
Or you go find a Greg and hire him.
Go find a Greg.
Be the guy that gets all the fish. That you're 100% right. When you understand that real estate is not really a job, it's a business, and you choose what role you want to play in that business, you get this freedom to do exactly like you said, Matt. It just isn't something it's easy to find other people doing. You're going to be a bit of a trailblazer,
because it's a mindset thing. Yeah, it's a mindset, and you hit the nail on the head. It's you have to understand or be willing to dive into the systems. What is the system that produces the result that I want? What's the most important part of the system, and do I want to do that part? And if not, you got to figure out what part you want to do. But like for yourself, David, like you enjoy the grind, the lead gen part, and you don't want to deal with all the rest of the stuff, which I'd be interested to see what your disc profile is, but that's another conversation. But you figured out what you want to do, and then you looked at the rest of the system that produces the result that you want, and you figured out, okay, well, I don't want to do all these other pieces, but guess what? There's a bunch of people out there that do, and that's true of everything. Whatever it is, whether it's the paperwork that you don't want to do, whether it's driving yourself to a listing presentation. There's literally nothing in real estate that I haven't heard of that somebody hasn't outsourced. Like there's a listing agent in Chicago that has, at the time when I heard about her, she was doing 5 or 7 listing presentations on an average day. And so she hired a driver so that she could be in the back looking at paperwork, talking to her staff, and never had to worry a bit about traffic or the route or how to get there or where she was going or anything. She literally hired a driver to drive her around the city of Chicago. I mean, there's nothing in the business that can't be outsourced as long as you're good at or you know how to generate leads. Anyway.
I want to say something because I think we've talked. You saw me moving around here. If you're watching the video, I was kind of getting out of my seat. I'm not being antsy. I'm looking for some things that we've talked about in the past. And David said some really cool stuff about the reasons why it's hard for us to scale and offshoot some of that stuff. And I know for me, for a long time, I'm going to say the same thing David said, but from a different perspective, which is I felt like I was not okay handing off my shit tasks to people, thinking that why would anyone want to do the stuff that I hate?
Yeah. Right.
And so the reason why I pulled this book out is because this one really, you guys know what the Pareto Principle is, right? The 80-20, it applies to everything. And one of the things he was saying in this book, which it's this sales and marketing, but there's like 2 whole chapters dedicated to what we're talking about. And it was like a light bulb moment for me. And it was like what he was saying is, if you break down 80% of your day, there's probably a good portion of that 80% that's a $10 to $20 an hour task. So what you're doing is you're spending 80% of your time on things that you could hire somebody for $15 an hour to do, but you're getting in your own way because you go, well, who the hell would want to do my wash? And what he says in the book is, or who the hell would want to drive me around Chicago, right? But what he says in the book is there are people that will line up at your door to do $15 an hour tasks for you. And once you get out of your own way and you're able to offshoot a percentage of that 80% and then start focusing on your $100 tasks, that's when your business goes to another ceiling. And then he said, and then what you do is you recreate that model at $100 an hour. And you look at, because what will happen is now you'll flip and 80% of your tasks will be $100 an hour, while 20% of your tasks will be the $1,000 an hour task. And you do it again. Find somebody to hire for $100 an hour to handle that crap and scale up to your $1,000 an hour task. And I was like, yes, I was on the plane. The plane almost went down because my head blew up. Seriously, it was stupid, but it was like, I was like, oh my God.
No, but that's totally true. I mean, right now I have a VA. I'm paying her $6 an hour. She's managed and trained. And you know what? She's doing things that I just couldn't get myself to do. And so that's a much lower scale. But I mean, you got to start somewhere and just.
But why would you ever feel guilty about that, Greg? That's the thing, is people feel bad that you changed that VA's life. The average VA makes the equivalent, or the average worker in the Philippines is right around $3 to $5 an hour. That's about what their monthly salary is. So she's in the upper echelon of income probably working from her house.
Yep.
Probably not doing, I don't want to say as hard of work, but it's definitely not like sitting there in a factory, bending over, doing physically hard work.
Right.
I bet she tells everyone she's got it made and she loves you because you
Well,
create that opportunity.
Well, then we also, I bonus her out. So like as soon
Right.
as she starts getting like listing appointments, I'll give her an extra $25. Or, when I list a property, that's another $100. When I sell it, another $200, so I incentivize the people that are going to work for me. And Jake over at Clever with a K, he and I were joking one day, he and I are going to he's like, want to hire 50 VAs? We'll just take over the world. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. Now he's like, I need at least 250 to 500 VAs because all the agents that are using his system all want a VA that's managed and trained and responsible and does their job and maintains a quality of work. But I think Jonathan Jonathan Hawkins, I hope you're still here, brother. He asked a question twice, and David, I want to get your opinion on this because we're talking about outsourcing services and tasks, right? But he asked a great question. Where should you be in your biz to scale to this level? I mean, when are you allowed to do what you just like to do, David?
One, when you're profitable enough that you can pay someone's salary without having to fire them in a month if you don't sell a house. They're putting their livelihood in your hands. So you need to be financially independent enough that you can have a good conscience that says, trust me, you can work here. Two, when you know that you're going to take the time they give you back and go do lead generation or more dollar productive activities. Do not do this, then say, I'm going to go hang out at home and watch Dancing with the Stars with my spare time. That's not the right time.
Matt, Matt does do that every Thursday night. I mean, he's an avid dancer, guys. If you ever see him about, that guy just
Twinkle Toes Johnson.
Oh man, Twinkle.
Well, Greg, throw up my response because I went into I would like to hear David's take on this. I threw the response to Jonathan. That's what, for the people that can't see it, the easy answer is when your income is capped by your time. In my area, it seems to be around the $6 to $8 million mark in sales for agents. And obviously that number differs depending on, when you're in New York, 8 million in sales is 2 properties versus, down here it's $300,000 a sale average. It takes more time. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Two things. One, yes, time is absolutely true. Like I said, when I could no longer do the job without running out of time because I was a police officer, that's when I made the jump into full-time real estate sales. Same thing. That's when you hire. But the other one that people don't take into consideration is energy. When you are drained having to do so many of the things you don't like, that a lead starts to feel like a pain in the butt, that your phone starts to feel like it weighs 500 pounds. Oh, there's another client calling me and I have to answer a call where I'm going to make 10 grand. This is so hard. The minute you sense that, you got to do something right away because that's not normal. That should excite you when your phone rings with someone that wants you to help them with the house. So yes, look at time, look at energy. If I'm running out of time, I need to leverage. If I'm running out of energy, I need to leverage.
Matt, are you disappointed about Veronica's post that Carol Baskin is on Dancing with the Stars? Did that
oh my God. Terrible. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. Let's talk about the top producers because you're working on a book right now about that topic anyway. But there's folks like you, David, that are really crushing it right now. I was just talking to Greg Harrelson about this the other day because he and I recorded a couple of episodes for his show, the Level Up podcast, which are going to be really freaking good. And there's a lot of agents in his office that are having their best year ever. And David, you're doing extremely well. We've also heard from Michael Hellickson. Club Wealth was on the show here. What, Greg? 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. Some of his agents are having some of their best years ever. But then there's everybody else. And it just seems like the middle has been completely obliterated. So what's going on? What are you seeing?
This is a really good point. So what I was thinking about this morning, it's funny we brought this up, is how real estate was 30, 40 years ago. Okay. There wasn't internet. You didn't go looking at houses online. If you wanted to buy a house or sell a house, you just thought in your head, does my family know a real estate agent? And so agents made their money by putting a magnet on the fridge so that you would remember them. And when you wanted to sell your house, you're like, oh yeah, we use Bob over there. What's Bob at Remax, right? Yeah, let's give Bob a call. So Bob had to do a lot of hard work in the beginning of his career to get a lot of magnets on fridges and get his way into people's minds. And then he was done. He just waited and the phone started ringing. And as long as Bob didn't screw up terribly or offend people, whenever you had to sell your house and someone said, hey, do you know anyone? It was Bob's name that would come up. Well, then the internet came up and then social media came up and then marketing became a thing. It wasn't just send a bunch of mailers to people's houses. It was a fight for attention. Okay. And that's kind of the world we're in right now. We're in this infant stage of social media and how people are going to be looking at stuff, where more people are watching YouTube than cable TV at this point. So there's this like free for all in business that has nothing to do with real estate. It's not about who's the best agent. It's just about who's the best influencer, or who can get in front of the most people, who can captivate attention the best. And those are the people getting deals. So what we're finding is that when you remove all the ways that agents can use hard work to make up for marketing, which would be things like open houses, knocking on doors, calling their friends, seeing people at a restaurant and saying, oh yeah, hey, don't forget I'm an agent. All that stuff is where most agents' deals are coming from. Well, now that we're all away at home, you've taken away everyone that could pinch off a client in the very beginning. So that, guess what? They're going back to calling Bob. They're going back to like, who's my guy? Who's in my head? Oh, it's going to be this person. So top producers are getting even more of the market share because there's no one that's manning the gate and grabbing them in the very beginning. And the agents who are newer or not as well known, they're starving because all those ways that they were grabbing some fish that nobody else was going for are gone. So that's one of the reasons I think that you've eliminated the middle. You're either crushing it or you're super struggling. And it's why I think that, frankly, teams are probably the future of real estate. It's if you're good at generating leads and someone's not good at generating leads, find someone who's got leads and excel at the role in that company that you can do good. So like, I would say, let me ask you guys this. When you're a new agent, would most of you agree it's really hard because everyone tells you to go lead generate, but you don't know what to say. You have zero confidence. You're afraid they're going to ask you questions you can't answer. So what do? Is you run to your broker and you ask a bunch of questions, and then they're going to say, come back to me when you have a deal. I don't have time for you. And that's why 80-something% of agents just quit in the first 5 years. You need experience to gain confidence, but you need confidence to get clients, and you need clients to get experience. And so you just burn out.
That happens a lot of the times, David, because a lot of the agents, and of course, this is never the agents that listen to Real Estate Uncensored, not you guys. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the other people. Okay.
We're talking about Veronica, but go ahead.
Oh, we're definitely talking about Veronica Jones. Are you kidding me?
Right. Go ahead.
I love Veronica. I love you, sweetheart. She's my good friend down in Texarkana, Texas. I love doing that. I don't know. I have the worst accent ever, but they don't stay persistently curious in this industry. They cap out at a certain level, and they don't want to go back and read a couple of books a year. Watch the webinars, go to digital summits. Invest in Inman News and read articles. Be hunting down knowledge. Go finding top producers to have them mentor them or have a lunch. Ask for advice. They don't take those steps, and that's a major factor in kind of where they fail. But they also, I have a good friend of mine, Stevie Hahn, out of Jacksonville, Florida. I met her 5 years ago or so when we first started our podcast, and she was scared to death of the camera. I mean, she had to drink wine before she would get on camera, which ironically, I don't know how it's a good idea all the time, but she did it. And now she is a top producer, crushing it. And guess what she does? She just talks about what she's doing, and she's visible like nobody's business on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and everything else. And she's relatable. So if you guys are new, be relatable to people and be visible. Yesterday or a couple of days ago, I posted a photo. Let me see if I can pull this one up. It's a me in the pool, and I just put working from the pool, right? I had 1,332 people will look at that Instagram story. That's just me working in the pool, but you don't have to do everything real estate. You can be a human being, do things that are different. You shouldn't be always talking about real estate. Guys, thoughts?
I would say you and Stevie are the 20% in this equation. You're comfortable doing that. The 80% that are listening to us right now are thinking, I don't want to put a picture of me in the pool. I'm just not comfortable with that. Stevie had the confidence to go and do exactly what you're saying, which, guys, that's a fantastic advice. That is what you should be doing. But I can promise you this is not the first time they've heard someone say that. No. Every conference they go to, they're saying lead gen, lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. 10 ways you can lead gen. It's not that bad. To them, it's that bad. So what I'm trying to figure out is how, for those 80% who want to work hard, but who are not comfortable doing what we would do, like a rainmaker or a top producer, whatever you want to call it, give them a role to play that they can use to build their confidence and their knowledge. That to me is like showing homes. If you're really good with clients, you're very patient, you love doing that. The problem is it takes you 4 years before you ever get enough clients to show homes to get good at showing homes, and you'll quit. So if you step in on with us, you're showing homes right off the bat. I'm training you how to use the MLS, how to read comps, how to call listing agents, what to say, what not to say, how to read them, how to set clients' expectations appropriately so that they're willing to write the offer they have to write. You're watching me do it, and you're helping me by showing my clients houses. And then what my belief is 2, 3, 4 years of doing that, real estate will no longer feel intimidating and scary. You've learned from a mentor while making some money. And then we can hit them with, you need to be posting this on your social media. You need to be out there talking about real estate all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very close to my perspective, Dale. Like I've always felt, and this is where Greg and I disagree wholeheartedly, in terms of, well, it's not, let's just face it, it's one of the many areas where we disagree wholeheartedly. But I think that's one of the best pieces of advice you could give to a newer agent or an agent that's struggling with lead generation for whatever reason, but confidence is a big one. Go join a team, get on somebody else's team immediately, as quickly as you humanly can, because 80% of people are not like Greg, and Greg's giving advice to other people like Greg. So Greg's giving advice that works for the 20% of people who are like Greg, and that's fine. But for the 80% who are not, which included me back when I was 25 and got into real estate, right? What did I do? I got, let's see, I was going to be an investor. Then I got a hold of Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And then I fell in love with the CEO model. Right. So what did I do? I started a real estate team right out of the gate. It was a terrible, terrible mistake. I should have gone and worked for somebody else. I should have found a mentor. I should have started showing homes. I should have started like being somebody's listing assistant and go with somebody on their listing appointments. I did all the wrong things and ended up getting out of the business at the time for that reason. And so I went through that progression. I found a whole bunch of stuff about the business that I didn't like, but I didn't have enough of the lead gen experience to be able to hire it out quite yet. So I was in that no man's land of, I hate to do 80% of this, but I can't afford to hire somebody else to do it. So I had to keep doing it. And that's where a lot of agents get stuck. And so, yeah, go join a team, go find a role where you can learn and build your confidence, and then go out and do what you want to do, including starting your own team.
No.
That's why I think that the real estate teams are the future.
Hold on. I love it. I love the dichotomy here. Like Greg's over here and Matt's here, right? And so I'm gonna pull up in the middle somewhere, because I feel like both of those statements are very vague, and I also think that we're not taking into account what somebody's history might be. Like, for example, if you're getting out of college and you're 21 and your parents have paid your way for the whole go, and you've never held a job, it's a terrible idea to run the CEO model of a real estate company, right? When I left Verizon, for me to be able to step in and do real estate on my own, I would have failed worse than I did. I failed forward so many times because I was not prepared. I came from a job where whether I called out sick or went to lunch or did nothing, my paycheck was still there. I didn't have to cold call people, right? Yeah. But fast forward 12 years, I feel pretty comfortable I wouldn't need to join a team and I could be a productive real estate agent because of my background and where I sit now. So I kind of say, I feel like it depends on the person and their history too. Now, would you agree with that a little bit?
Totally. But we're in that 20% of people that will just stubbornly fail forward for 12 years. And I guess the advice is for the person, like the 87 or 83% of agents that fail in their first 5 years are not that person. Yeah. And it's a massive investment of time and money and energy into learning this. And then they say, oh, it wasn't for me because they couldn't get any traction. So the whole idea would be like, Gene, if you and Greg are like, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to do this. You can build a team. You don't need to join a team. You need to get a mentor. If you're the person who's listening and you're saying, I will never do that. I will not go knock on doors. I will never call 700 people in a day. When they see Greg doing it, they literally feel like, I suck. I shouldn't be an agent. If I'm not going to do what he's doing, I shouldn't. But there is a role that person can play for someone like Greg, who doesn't want to necessarily do his own analysis on the CMAs, that gets really good at or organizes him. Like, okay, here's your appointment. I put all your stuff together. I ran your CMA. I could tell you guys my system for how I do listings. I literally am like the agent. I describe myself still. I show up, I give the presentation, I wait for offers to come in, I put it in contract, and I'm done. My listings are a total of maybe 45 minutes to an hour of time to sell houses. But there's other people I need to do that. And those people would never do what Greg does. They would never do what you do, Gene. They don't have that. So yes, it does depend on the person.
So this show has officially become a drinking show. I want everyone to go back. Every time that someone says the name Greg, take a shot. You'll be I can't cuss on this show because we're gonna use it for other stuff. You'll be messed up. Let's put it that way. and if you don't want to do calls, hashtag pro tip from Greg. Another shot, please. Veronica Jones, half naked photos in water equals views. Thank you, Veronica. And it isn't right. I mean, Ronnie DiCarlo out of Florida, I did start as a buyer's agent. So, I was out there and I was at open houses. That's what we're doing. I was picking up buyers every single Sunday and I was running with them. I wasn't doing cold calls or, I did do door knocking and door knocked for a full year.
I know. I love how Greg is the king of telling people not to join a team, but that's how he got started.
But no. So here's my thing. I don't think you should join a team. I think you should get a mentor. I think you should be educated consistently, but I don't think you should give away a large portion of your cash when you're just starting out. You need every single penny to continue in this industry. I think that's an asinine, retarded way to get into the industry. And then you're 6 months to a year into it. Then join it.
I think that 50% of 5 deals a month for most agents is a lot more than 100% of a half a deal a month, which is what they would do otherwise.
Well, let me ask you this, Greg. Would you tell an agent, let's say it's your sister and she wants to get started. Well, maybe not your sister, because maybe she's a mutant like you that can just call 700 people. Let's say you get a normal human being that has never had to lead generate or do any form of sales, which is your average agent. Okay. They came from some other type of job and now they're getting thrown into this. Most of them in their first 2-3 years, what do you think they average when they first get in the business? How much they make?
The Texas Association of Realtors did a study, and it's actually $25,000 a year.
Okay,
for your first year.
So
that's what you
my showing assistants that come on the team when they're brand new, they know nothing. They start off at 10% of the commission. They make 6 figures a year their first year.
But see, that's your structure is a little bit different. And I'm very adamant about this. Yes, and I always say I have been on a team my entire life. But if I would always ask agents a couple of things when they're getting in, the new bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, they're getting into the industry. I'm so excited. I love homes. I'm like, great. Let me answer the real question of why you're getting into a bone-crushing, meat-grinding industry, because this will chew you up and spit you out. What are you going to do to get leads? How do you like to do it? Are you willing to do the unsexy things? And then I get a long pregnant pause, and they say yes. I'm like, you're full of shit. And you know what? It's going to be an uphill battle. But that was back in the day when there wasn't social media. So if you don't want to do door knocking, don't want to do calls, well, okay, that's great. Get on YouTube, create videos, learn how to make good thumbnails, get contents coming out of your ears, go become visible to people. I'm creating stuff on my YouTube channel right now, and I'm getting calls from people all over the country going, hey man, I watched your video. I'm moving to the Bay Area. Love to get some time to talk to you. So you don't have to join a team. You don't have to do cold calls. You don't have to do door knocking. You can do digital door knocking. You can do other content, forward facing, ways of getting leads, and you never have to do those calls. So the conversation we're having is a prehistoric conversation because we've shifted 100% at this point. Well, you can't shift 100%. Then you ran right where you were. You shifted 180 degrees.
I would say you're right. Like you don't have to join it. That's not what you guys are hearing. I'm not saying everyone needs to join a team at all. I'm saying that when you've created a system, you have the opportunity to give at-bats to agents that's how they're used to doing things. That's what they're looking for. They want someone to go show homes to. They want someone to go. They want listing agents to call and ask questions. And if you make them wait to lead generate for 3 to 4 years of making $25,000 a year before they get to that point, they'll probably quit before they ever get any traction.
I agree, but you also hamstring an agent by spoon feeding them. They have got to get out there and cut their teeth and learn, trip and fall. You know how many times I've screwed up a deal and lost $25,000? About 5 of them, because that's a lot of money you lose by screwing up a deal. So you learn really quickly. Your live fire exercises, and you're out there and you're becoming your own man or woman. I'm just going to vehemently disagree on this one because I know what I've taught and what I've seen with the people when they take action on what I coach them on. They're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't join a team because I get to keep all my money now. And so,
here's a mistake the real estate industry has made for 1,000 years. And I had a really good conversation with a broker, a friend of mine, a while ago, and it was about retention, right? And I'm, me, I look at it from the outside. So I work with agents on a lot of cases, and I understand the business model of owning a brokerage, right? And I felt like basically what I think the missing piece in a lot of cases was there was never that one-on-one with each agent that came in. And I know in certain cases time doesn't allow for that, right? But if I'm a broker and I say to you, Matt Johnson, I need you to tell me what your history is. Let's take the disc profile, so I learn a little bit about you. Let me talk to you about your wife and your kids a little bit, and tell me about your why and what's happening and where you want to be in 2 or 3 or 5 years. And then we go through that process, and now I can hold you accountable for certain things. I might see your profile and we'll look at what your underlying goals are and realize what your history is and what's going to retard you as a good agent in the business. And I think at that point I could say to you, I think this might be a good idea for you to at least start 1 year to do a team thing, or it might be the opposite of that. You're a type A, you're a high D, whatever that ends up being, and you need to run your own thing. You don't need to split anything with anybody. So like I feel like a needs assessment and a want analysis and a why analysis is missing in a lot of cases from these brokerages for each. And almost, listen, you can even say a mentor. If you have somebody that sits down with you and says, tell me why, how much do you need, how often, how fast, you're going to work 4 hours a week. Okay. And what do you want to do? I want to make $8 million a month. Okay. That's not realistic. Let's set those expectations back. If you know these people one-on-one, I think you have a better opportunity to be able to drive them in a certain direction.
Yeah, of course.
Or lead.
Yeah, the problem that people have is they can't do that kind of self-analysis, and it's hard to find a mentor that doesn't have skin in the game one way or the other. Like, most of the time, like when you're talking about going and joining a team and finding a mentor that way, their skin in the game is them recruiting you to join the team. So they're going to be biased in that direction, just like I'm biased in that direction. I would be biased in my recommendation. So you have to just make your own decision, and you have to do a little self-analysis to go, am I the type of person that wants to go the Greg route? Or would you go the route of joining a team or whatever? And you kind of have to do that analysis yourself. You can find a mentor that doesn't have any skin in the game and they can help you with that. But most people that you run into are going to have some vested interest in whatever decision you make. And their advice is going to be slanted. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to make that determination for yourself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being in that 80% that goes, I would rather go out and find somebody that can model the behavior that I want to learn. Now, whether you join that team and give them a chunk of your commission or not, that's fine. I would say go out and do what Jeff Cohn did. Go call up the 25 top producers in your city and offer to take them out to lunch or be a fly on the wall in their office while you bring them coffee all day. Like most of the people that are super successful will say absolutely yes to that. And that can teach you a lot right there, to where you can decide who you want to emulate, who you might want to join, who you don't. And it just may give you the insight that you need to make that decision of whether to join a team or not. But anyway, that is way off the topic. Good Lord.
So hard left for sure.
That was a hard left. We wanted to focus on like why top producers are crushing it. And in some cases, it's because they're either leading a team and they're very systematic, like David, like what you're talking about. But there's definitely something. There's a lot of that is the mindset and the mentality that I'm not going to let this stop me. Right. And
if lead generation is what's stopping you, find a solution to that. That's all.
Find a solution. Yeah. The point is there is a way.
Yes.
There is a way. Like you don't like the fluffy parts of the business that other people love, which most other people would say that's insane. That's crazy. Like, why wouldn't you want to do the fun parts? It's like, well, because I don't want to. They're not fun for me. And so you recognize that, but that's not going to stop me from getting the business that I want. I'm going to find a way to not have to do that stuff. Like you think of all the things, like it's one thing to say, I can't find somebody to lead generate for me. It's a whole other thing to go, I can't find somebody to do the emotional hand-holding stuff for me. That's actually harder, in the abstract, to find somebody to do the highest level of the client touch. You'd think that'd be the hardest part to outsource, and you still manage to do it.
Oh man, well, we're definitely going to, David, we got to get you back on. We got to wrap this thing up. Gene's going to vanish and turn into a pumpkin here at noon. I think I would love to get back on and just talk about this stuff and go deeper on it. And that next time we'll talk about the book and kind of what you're doing and all that stuff and talk about investing. So would you consider coming back on maybe in February?
Anytime you guys want. You got it. I love talking about this stuff, mostly because I'm immersed in it and trying to fight my way through everything that goes wrong when you're leading a team or you're the business owner of the whole thing. So there's a heart for this. I watch so many agents that want to do well, and they're just inwardly dying inside. Just they have no confidence. They think they suck. They watch other people doing well. They look up to me and they're like, wow, how does he have that many in escrow and I can't even do one? And it doesn't have to be that way. It's oftentimes tiny little tweaks that you got to make in the way you approach something, your mindset, the way you communicate, whatever it is. So I'll talk about this stuff as much as you guys will let me.
Because off the air, we're going to book you. I want to have you on probably every 3 months now. Why? Because I think you're funny as hell and you're smart and you're a damn good looking man. That's why. So, David, so where can everyone find you? Get a hold of you if they have a deal for you, or does anything? What where to get your book?
I'm Instagram and pretty much all social media. I'm David Greene 24. There's an E at the end of Greene. So if you look me up on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you like, that's a good way to get a hold of me. You can pre-order the book. It's for new agents. It's going to be a 3-part series. The first book is for, hey, you're a new agent. No one tells you anything. Here's all the stuff that people should be telling you that it's very hard to get a mentor to tell you. Mm-hmm. The second book is going to be how to become a top producer. These are the things like what Greg, like you were saying, it's all that information. Here's how you generate leads. Here's how you have other people help you. Here's how they support you. And the third book will be how you grow a team once you have too many leads to handle. I have this analogy that you become like Tony Stark and your team is your suit of armor. They bring out the best of you and they protect your weaknesses. Tony Stark can't go out there and fight Thanos. He'd get crushed in a second. But if he does it as Iron Man, he's durable enough he can withstand the parts of the business that he doesn't like. And the suit allows him to take the genius in his brain and actually manifest that into real things. So that's what your team should do. You build them around your strengths and they protect your weaknesses. And if people want to buy that, you can go to biggerpockets.com/new books. And it's the book, the title is called Sold on there.
Love it. I'm going to go buy the damn thing. I love the analogy with the Iron Man. I should have worn my Iron Man shirt if I knew we were going to talk about it. Okay. I've got mildly offensive Iron Man. That should be a new shirt.
In February.
Gene, where can people get a hold of you? And what does your name really say on your mic?
Genvelope. And you can get me at genvelope.com. Real simple. GENEEVNLOE.com.
Wow. I'm the dyslexic one.
Listen, if you're watching this show and you don't know by now, you're not going to call me anyway. Don't worry about it.
That's true.
You're doing the takeaway method right there. Matt, I someone told me a story that you published a bestseller. And what was that? It's Micro Famous.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Love you too, buddy. Oh my God.
Where can they get a hold of you, brother? And where can they get a book, Micro Famous? Well, all joking aside, is a phenomenal book and is really well written.
Thank you. Well, you can get the physical copy on Amazon and always can get it there. That's a great place to go. But if you want like the free digital copy, just go to microfamousbook.com.
Okay. That was simple and sweet. Right to the point.
That took too long. Do it again.
Oh, there it is.
It took me a long time to get that done. And I got to tell you something. Every time I search for Micro Johnson, the book, I get a different thing. That's not what I see on there.
Oh my God, so many jokes. Matt, I'm glad you asked. Where can they get a hold of me?
Yes.
It's right on the bottom there, guys. It's been scrolling. If you want to learn about what we're doing over at EXP, we're working with a company called Clever Leads with a K. My boy Jake Wolf, Sergeant Wolf, the Papa Wolf, whatever you want to call him. He's put together a phenomenal lead gen situation. And when you join our team, you get a special package where you get a VA attached to you. And for under $1,000 a month, they will do all of your following. And that's just one thing you guys get when you join our EXP. So go ahead, give me a call. 925-915-1978 is my cell, or just email me, greg@gregmcdaniel.com. So, Matt, you have a final duty for you to do on this show. So pick a color.
All right, let's do a burnt umber. That's the color I want today. Burnt umber. Wrap it up. That's the color. That is the color. It's a how would I put it? It's a cross between orange and mustard yellow.
Burnt
umber. Yeah.
You really did play with the big box of Crayolas when you were a kid, weren't you?
You ate them.
Yeah, you ate them. Snack. All right, guys. There it is. There's our show. Guys, please go give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review on anywhere that you guys listen to podcasts. Mention David Greene in there if you like this content. I know that he crushed it today. We are blessed beyond words to have him here. So show a little love. And we just love the pieces. It helps the algorithm get served up so more people get to see our show. So until next time, guys, peace out, ninjas. I'll see you later.
Oh.